I'm going to show you how to assemble a wall drying cupboard. The tools you'll need for this will include a cordless drill, drill bits, screwdriver, pencil, tape measure, hammer and some masking tape and a set square. And you'll also need the cupboard that comes in the box. So let's get started. I like to use the cardboard wrapper to protect the floor and also my cupboard as I'm putting it together. I also like to lay out all the pieces so I'm familiar with each one and I know which ones to start with. Always follow your instructions carefully as there are a few tricky bits when putting this cupboard together. I'm going to start with the bottom panel. The first thing we need to do is to put the pins in. These just go into the pre-drilled holes and we'll screw them off a bit later. When screwing them off with the drill, make sure you don't over tighten them. Now we'll insert the cams in the other holes. You'll notice on these that there's a little arrow. This arrow must be towards the outside of the board. That makes fitting the pins in easier. Now we'll put the cams in the rail. Now we can fix the rail to the bottom panel. Always make sure that the cams go to the outside of the cupboard. That way you won't see it when you open the door. And then we just lock this in by twisting the cam with the screwdriver. So now we'll do the same on the top panel. The way you can tell this is the top panel is that it has holes here that take the hinges. The other panel doesn't have those. And now we'll put the cams in as well. Always keep that arrow towards the outside. We need to do the same on the rails. We'll now put the rails onto the panel and make sure you keep the cam locks on the outside so you don't see it when you open the cabinet door. And then we'll need to tighten them up. We'll now put the pins in the side panels. The way you can tell which side panel goes where is as this has holes in it that locate for the hinges. So they will correspond with the hinges on the other panel. We'll now start to put the cupboard together. We'll start with the end first. Just tap the side with the pins into the cam locks and then tighten them off. I'll now just flip it over so we can put the bottom panel on. Now I'll stand it up to put the other end on. So now I'm just going to go back over the cabinet and make sure that all the cams have tightened. So now we'll put the other end on. Just tap it together and tighten the cams. So now the cupboard's together, we'll nail on the back panel. Make sure you put the panel on with the white face facing in so that when you open your cabinet door, it's white inside. And we just nail into the rebated edge. We now have to put the spacers on the inside of the end panels. These spacers will hold up the hardware that comes later. You'll notice on these that the holes are drilled in different places and there's also little locating holes for the runners. So there is a set sequence that these have to be installed. Once again, if you're unsure, refer back to the instructions. Another little handy hint is that the front edge will always be laminated with the white edging of your cabinet. The back end is left raw. The first piece we need to put in is the piece that has all the holes lined up on the one line. And I'll just flip the box up to make it a bit easier. These two small holes on here line up with the two pre-drilled holes inside the cupboard. We're using 28mm wood screws. And now the other piece goes on top. Remember to put the white edge towards the front. And these screw holes here line up with the small holes on the other panel. Now we'll do the same on the other end. It's now time to install the drying rack. The first thing we need to do is remove the runners off the side and put those into the cabinet. You do this by extending the runner out, pulling back on this little black tab, and the runner will come away from the rest of it. And now we'll do the same on the other end. So the pre-drilled holes that are on the side rail are now used for lining up the holes in the runner. Just slide the runner forward and line up the holes first. We're just going to fix the runner onto the spacer with 14mm wood screws. And then slide the track in a little bit till you find the corresponding pre-drilled hole. And now we'll do the same on the other side. We now need to line up the drying rails with the runners that we've just installed. Just line up the grooves on both ends and then slowly push it in. And now it's time to fit the door. First of all, you have to remove the hinge plate off the hinge itself. You do this by pressing the button on the end. And then you just screw the hinges in to the pre-drilled holes using the screws that come with the hinges. So now that we've got the door hinges on the door, while I've got it here, I'm going to put the hardware that's required for the gas strut on here as well. The knuckle part faces in. We'll do the same on the other end. All the screws come with these hardware pieces. We're going to put the other piece for the gas strut on one wall and the hinge plates for the door hinge on the other side. Now we can clip the door to the cupboard and put the final hardware on. Now it's time to put the gas struts on. These are really handy for keeping the door open when you open it up to pull the clothes dryer out. Just line it up with the hardware and click it on. So now I need to mark out for the handle. The instructions will tell you all the measurements that you'll need, so follow them closely. I'm going to use some masking tape on both sides of the door so that when I drill through, it won't chip out the laminate on either side. Work out roughly where your measurements are going to go and then you can put your masking tape down. I'll drill through the door now in the places that we've marked. I'm using a 4.5mm drill bit. We'll now peel the tape off both sides and fit the handle. Once you've got the screws started, you can lay the door back down and then tighten it off. And that's how you assemble a wall drying cupboard.